gates for me. Gamar Chatima Tova, may you be sealed in the book of life. We are Congregation Beth HaTikva in Summit, New Jersey. We're about to start our Yom Kippur observance with our Kol Nidre service. All attendees can download a PDF of our Machzor by going to our website, bethatikva.org, and selecting High Holiday Information page. If you're joining us through our YouTube channel, please sit back and enjoy the service. If you're joining through a Zoom link, remember that this is a personalized link for Kol Nidre, and you'll receive separate emails with links for the other services. As this is a webinar, there is no participant audio, and you won't see other attendees. Because of the solemnity of the holiday, we won't have chat function active during this Kol Nidre service, except for one time during the sermon, when the rabbi will ask for your comments. Remember to select all presenters and attendees. Kol Nidre is the one evening service of the year where it is customary to wear a talit. Also, the rabbi will at times invite you to stand when you would have done so in the sanctuary, if you are able and wish to do so. Our website has the times for each of the services and activities tomorrow, and note that our Yisker service at 5 o'clock will have its own link. Thank you for sharing your holidays with us. We wish you an easy fast, and our service begins now.
Shana Tova, Gamar Hatima Tova. May we be sealed in the book of life. There is a reading at the beginning of our Mahzor that spoke to me powerfully this year. It's on page 24. It is meant for Rosh Hashanah, so I adapted the words a bit. And if you wish to join with me, please turn to page 24. This Yom Kippur, we come together with different needs. Some hearts are filled with gratitude and joy. They are overflowing with the happiness of love and the joy of life. They are eager to confront the day to make the world more fair. They are recovering from illness or have escaped misfortune, and we rejoice with them. Some hearts ache with sorrow. Disappointments weigh heavily upon them, and they have tasted despair. Families have been broken. Loved ones lie on a bed of pain. Death has taken those whom they cherished. May our presence and sympathy bring them comfort. Some hearts are embittered. They have sought answers in vain. They have had their ideals mocked and betrayed. Life has lost meaning and value. May the knowledge that we too are searching restore their hope that there is something to find. Some spirits hunger. They long for friendship. They crave understanding. They yearn for warmth. May we, in our common need, gain strength from one another, sharing our joys, lightening each other's burdens, and praying for the welfare of our community. Please turn to page 687. And if you have yahrzeit candles and holiday candles at home and are planning to light them with me, please get those ready. We light this candle in the memory of all our loved ones. May their memory be a blessing. May it be your will, eternal one, our God, and God of our ancestors, that these candles light up the pathway of return on this holy Shabbat Shabbaton, a Sabbath of complete cessation. By their light, may your light be seen. And we say, Amen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, Shel Yom HaKippurim. And please turn to page 16 in your booklets as the singers will lead us in return again.
Please turn to page 691. by the authority of all who congregate above and all who congregate on earth, and with the permission of the Omnipresent One, and by consent of this assembly, we accept into our midst whoever seeks to pray, whether righteous or unrighteous, all shall pray as one community. As is our custom, our CBH current and past presidents will hold the Torah scrolls during Kol Nidre. Please rise and turn to page 694.
Nidre vesare ushvue vacharame v'koname v'kinuse v'chinuye dina darna udeishtabana udacharimna Udia sarna anafshatana miyom kippurim she'avar ad yom kippurim ze haba aleinu l'tova Kulhon nichratna v'hon, kulhon yohon shiran, shvitin, betelim umevutalim, la shiririm v'la kayamin, Nidrana la nidre, vesarana la esare, ushvuatana la shvut. Kol nidre, vesare, ushvue, vacharame, וכל נמר וכינוסה וכינויה. דין אדרנה ודהשתבנה ודחרימנה ודיאסרנה על נפשתנה מיום כיפורים שעבר עד יום כיפורים זה הבא עלינו לטובה כולו נחרת נבון כולו יהון שרן שוויקין שוויתין ותהילין ומהותרין לשירין ולקיימין נדרנה לנדרה ושרנה לשרה ושבועתנה לשבועות.
Please be seated. We turn to page 697. All the vows on our lips, the burdens in our hearts, the pent-up regrets about which we brooded and spoke through prayers without end on last Atonement Day, did not change our way of life, did not bring deliverance in the year that has gone. From mountain peaks of fervor, we fell to common ways at the close of the fast. Will you hear our regret? Will you open our prison? Release us from the shackles of habit. Will you answer our prayers? Forgive our wrongs. Though we sin again and again, in moments of weakness, we do not remember promises of Atonement Day. Look past forgetfulness. Take only from our hearts. Forgive us. Pardon us. This afternoon, I was listening to a podcast, which was a conversation with two of my amazing teachers at Hebrew College, Rabbi Arthur Green and Rabbi Sharon Cohen-Anisfeld. Interestingly, the series of podcasts was called Hineni. We're not the only ones who are finding meaning in that word this year. Rabbi Green told a story about hearing Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik speak in Boston many years ago. Rabbi Soloveitchik said, "The whole of Yom Kippur for me is in the Amen after Shehechianu on Kol Nidre." That statement might take a little bit of explaining, although I immediately understood what he meant. For most of the year, we associate the Shehechianu prayer with joyful occasions, holidays, B'nai Mitzvah services, and Shehechianu moments when we share the good, new, and exciting things in our lives. On Yom Kippur, we remember the real purpose of Shehechianu, which is to acknowledge the gift of life. We thank God for keeping us alive and allowing us to reach this moment. On Yom Kippur, we face our mortality and recognize that we do not know who will live and who will die in the coming year. This year in particular, we have seen how precarious life is. This year, we have lived with the fear that any one of us could die in this pandemic. This year, we recite Shehechianu with a deeper sense of gratitude for our lives. And then we say, Amen. Please turn to page 696.
Please turn to page 708 and rise for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vahed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed.
You may be seated, and once again, we will hear our wonderful teen string players playing Ahavat Olam.
Please turn to page 712, where the Ahavat Olam prayer is, and we'll be singing the last two lines, both in English and in Hebrew.
ואהבתך לא תסור ממנו לעולמים. יאי לה לי 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 לי, יאי לה לי 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 לי, יאי לה לי לי לי, יאי לה לי לי לי, יאי לה לי לי לי, ברוך אתה אדוני. אוהב עמו ישראל.
and we turn to page 714.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Avad Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha V'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivatecha v'beitecha v'lechtecha v'derech v'shoftecha v'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישעריך.
And now we turn to page 726. And let's see what's there. It's the Mi Chamocha. And we start on the second line from the bottom.
ומלכותו ורצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים ובני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלימר
Oh, sorry.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, וכהים לפני משה, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
And now we go back to your booklets, page 15, for the Hashkivenu. Everything's going to be all right.
Hashkivenu is a congregation Beth HaTikva favorite. Next to In This House, I think it might be our favorite song. The prayer was written a long time ago, when the dark of night was much scarier than it is now. A time when people were vulnerable to attacks by robbers and wild beasts. The prayer asks for protection, that we might lie down in peace and rise again to life. Even today, with electric lights and sturdy homes and alarm systems, who doesn't want and need to hear, everything's gonna be all right? But let's face it, this year, everything's gonna be all right is a stretch. We are still experiencing a global pandemic. Life is not normal. Some of us have lost people we love. Some have lost jobs. School is a strange hybrid of in-person and online learning. We can't gather for high holiday services in person. We still can't socialize freely or sing together or travel where and when we wish. And it's not at all clear when or if our lives will return to what we used to call normal. It's important to grieve the many losses we have experienced. A psychotherapist named Megan Devine wrote a book about grief called It's Okay That You're Not Okay. I heard her on the radio one morning this summer, and she said, today, people are grieving the loss of a way of life. There are cascading losses, and we miss the before times. Yes, many of us are grateful that we have enough food and comfortable homes and the technology to be able to connect with friends and loved ones and our community online. But it's not the life we want, the life we had before, and it's really okay to be sad about that. So maybe we're not so sure right now that everything's going to be all right. But there's another song we sing that is taken from the end of the same prayer. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Spread over us your shelter of peace. The Hashkivenu prayer begins with the hope that we lie down in peace and rise up again to life, and ends with a plea to spread over us a shelter of peace. Hashkivenu is a prayer for safety and protection, and I think it's a prayer we all need right now. The word shalom is usually translated as peace, but comes from a Hebrew root that means wholeness. We are praying for inner peace as well as safety from war and danger. We are praying to feel whole. Rabbi Mark Saperstein points out that the prayer does not ask God to build for us a castle of peace or a fortress of peace, something made of stone or bricks that will last for hundreds of years. Rather, we ask for a sukkah of peace. A sukkah is a flimsy structure that will not protect us from rain, and as Don and I learned from personal experience a few years ago, can easily blow over in a strong wind. So if we are seeking safety, why wish for a sukkah of peace? Rabbi Saperstein suggests it is because a shelter like that needs constant tending and attention. He says you have to watch it almost constantly and care for it incessantly. I found the quote from Rabbi Saperstein in a curriculum being developed by the Jewish Education Center of Cleveland, which our new education director, Limor Elman, is using for religious school this year. The first unit in the curriculum is based on Sukkat Shalom, inviting children to explore what helps them feel safe. The curriculum guide suggests that a sukkah of peace might not be a structure at all. It might be a parent's arms around you. The image that came to my mind was of someone spreading a blanket over you and tucking you in at night. We all know that a blanket will not protect you from danger. But the safety comes from the act of spreading it over you, tucking you in. The safety comes from knowing that you are tended to, that someone is watching over you and caring for you. One of the activities for young children in the curriculum is to decorate a piece of fabric to be the child's Sukkot Shalom cloth, to remind them of safety and protection. The cloth could be used as a blanket, or draped over chairs as a fort, or wrapped around shoulders as a cape. The suggestions were for children, but they sparked my imagination. The cape idea made me picture a small superhero and struck me as a reminder of the power each of us has, young and old, to create safety for ourselves and others. The curriculum also includes questions for families to discuss at home. What in our home helps us feel safe? Who helps us feel safe? Where does each of us feel safe? And how can we help others feel safe? I love this curriculum, and I don't think it only applies to children, because we are all living in a scary time right now. I began to think about how our community can be a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace and comfort and wholeness. A sanctuary, by definition, is a place of safety. And I know that many people feel a sense of safety and peace when we gather in our sanctuary at CBH. Beth HaTikva is also our house of hope, our Jewish home, a place where we feel connected and cared about and known. But I also know that it is more than a physical space. People feel safety and peace when we are together, and we cannot be in our building now. But I want to suggest that we do not need the bricks and walls and windows as much as we need each other. Over these past months, we have found ways to connect online so we can continue to gather for worship and learning and supporting those who are grieving. We have tried to share laughter and delight with our online talent show and karaoke, the quarantine version of karaoke. We have brought meals to people who are ill or in mourning, delivered supplies when needed, and made phone calls to check in. Many people have worked tirelessly to create meaningful high holiday experiences. We have found ways to symbolically wrap our arms around each other, symbolically spread a blanket of comfort and tuck each other in. We have learned how to maintain our connections in these difficult times. But as the situation drags on, it can feel harder to stay connected. We're all tired. We have Zoom fatigue. Some people have told me they don't even feel like talking on the phone anymore. So I want to ask that we continue to tend to our connections. Congregation Beth HaTikva can be our Sukkot Shalom, but as Rabbi Saperstein wrote, we have to watch it almost constantly, care for it incessantly. Let's not forget that a community can be a shelter, that human connection provides safety. At a service during the summer, I asked people to talk about when and how they feel safe. And I want to share a few of the things people said. Safety is what allows you to go out into the world, knowing you have a safe place to return to. There is security in real friendship, knowing someone likes you for yourself, even with your faults. I love this one. A sukkah is just the right amount of protection. A fortress would be like an overbearing parent. You don't need too much protection. Safety is knowing God is there. The strength and safety of a sukkah is in the people who put it up together. I feel safe in my daughter's apartment. She's always cooking something, and there are always animals running around. And the last one, seeing all of your faces on Zoom makes me feel safe. This is just a sampling of what was shared that night. One of my favorite things about Congregation Beth HaTikva is how much I learn from all of you and your willingness to share your ideas and insights and feelings. On the screen, you will see 2 questions. We'll take a couple of minutes to think about these questions, and this is the one time when the chat function will be enabled. If you wish, please share your answers in chat. It's always beautiful and meaningful for us to see what other people are thinking. The chat function will remain open for these few moments of silence and then during the song following the sermon. The questions are, what does safety mean to you? And what can we do to help each other feel safe? So take just a couple of minutes of quiet. If you are writing in the chat, just a reminder to please choose all panelists and attendees, otherwise we won't see what you're writing. We cannot take our Sukkot Shalom for granted. It needs constant tending. Please help us find ways to make Beth HaTikva into a shelter of peace and comfort and safety. In this time of fear and uncertainty, we need each other more than ever. So now we continue with Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. Please spread over us your shelter of peace. It is found on page 730.
Ufros aleinu Sukkot, Sukkot, Shlomecha, Ufros aleinu Sukkot, Sukkot, Shlomecha. Yadai, yadai,
Please turn to pages 733 and 734. I'll be reading both Hebrew and English, the second paragraphs on the page. כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם לטהר אתכם מכל חטאותיכם לפני אדוני תטהרו. For on this day, atonement shall be made for you to make you clean from all of your wrongdoings. Before the fount of mercy, you shall be clean. Please turn to page 736.
יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגאלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ביעלמה ואמרו אמן amen.
James Baldwin is one of my favorite writers. He is simply unflinching in his insistence on telling the truth and demanding that we not look away. In an interview, Baldwin speaks about the artist's struggle for integrity. He says that most people live in almost total darkness, and the artist is responsible to those people to lighten the darkness, no matter what the cost. He says only an artist can tell, and only artists have told, since we have heard of man, what it is like for anyone who gets to this planet to survive it, what it is like to die or to have somebody die, and what it is like to be glad. Baldwin is speaking about himself as an artist and about artists in general. But then he makes it clear that he is also speaking to all of us. He says, the trouble is that although the artist can do it, the price that he has to pay himself, and that you, the audience, must also pay, is a willingness to give up everything. To realize that although you spent 27 years acquiring this home, this furniture, this position, although you spent 40 years raising this child, none of it belongs to you. You can only have it by letting go. I think this is a lesson we have all learned this year. All of our assumptions about our safety and security and what belongs to us can disappear overnight. Baldwin suggests that what is important is not the ways we are hurt. Everybody's hurt. What is important, he says, is that you must find some way of using this to connect you with everyone else alive. And insofar as you can do that with your pain, you can be released from it. And then hopefully it works the other way around. Insofar as I can tell you what it is to suffer, perhaps I can help you suffer less. Baldwin's words, I believe, are a good description of Yom Kippur and are especially meaningful this year. If we take this day seriously, we are asked to face the ways we have been hurt and the ways we have hurt others. We try to look at what it is like to die and to have others die, and what it is like to be glad. For this one day, we are expected to give up everything, all of our physical comforts, our status and accomplishments, our holding tightly to our possessions and who we think we are. And if we are willing to risk everything, if we are willing to be vulnerable, if we are able to face our pain and the pain of others, there is the possibility of connecting deeply with everyone around us and allowing those connections to lift us, to lighten us, to set us free. Please turn to page 23 in your booklets. We sing Gesher Tsar Ma'od. The whole entire world is a very narrow bridge. Take a moment for silent prayer and reflection. If you wish to read the words in the book for the Amidah, they're on pages 739 to 756, or just take a few moments for your own personal reflection. On page 756, with the Sefer Chaim, it's the second paragraph in Hebrew and transliteration.
please turn to page 800. We'll be singing Adonai, Adonai, the 13 attributes of God. The Hebrew is at the top of the page. Its transliteration is at the bottom. And the translation of Adonai, Adonai is on the top of the facing page, 799.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'chanun, Erech Apayim, V'rav Chesed v'emet, Notzer Chesed l'alafim, Nose avon v'fesha v'chata v'nakeh.
Please turn now to page 808. We'll sing Hashivenu, which is at the bottom of the page. Return us, let us return. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai, Elecha, V'nashuva, V'nashuva, Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu kekerem. And now please turn to page 21 in your booklets, and we'll watch the singers perform or sing Rick Reck's version of Holy, Holy, Holy. Please turn to page 816. We'll begin in the middle of the page with Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, or at the bottom where the translation is.
Elohei v'Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Salach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu ki anu amecha v'yata Eloheinu anu vanecha V'yata Avinu anu avadecha, V'yata Adonenu anu kahalecha, V'yata chelkeinu anu nachalatecha, V'yata goraleinu anu tzonecha, V'yata roeinu anu charamecha, V'yata notreinu anu tholatecha, V'yata yotzreinu anu rayatecha, V'yata dodenu anu segulatecha, V'yata kroveinu anu amecha, V'yata malkeinu anu mamirecha, V'yata mamirenu.
Usually on the eve of Yom Kippur, I ask people to let me know if I have hurt you or offended you or made you angry during the last year. This year, I hardly need to ask. I have so much to repent for, it's hard to know where to begin. I have been irritable, impatient, unappreciative of the people who have worked so hard for our community, angry, put upon, resentful. Need I go on? But I also am aware that this has been a hard year for everyone. We have all been on edge, often struggling to get through the day, much less living up to the best version of ourselves. So when I sat down to write my confession this year, what came to mind is that this year, we all need an extra dose of forgiveness. This year, we need more than ever to forgive ourselves and each other. As I have reminded myself and others many times in the past several weeks, when someone forgets to do something that they said they would do, or when the technology doesn't go smoothly, or when the sound quality on my microphone acts up and people tell me, Rabbi, we can't hear you. What I've been saying is, these things do not matter. What matters is that we hold on to our connections with each other. What matters is that we keep reaching out to uplift and comfort each other. What matters is that we laugh together and cry together and forgive each other. One morning in August, I saw a Facebook post from a cousin of mine in Israel. He wrote about a passage in Talmud that addresses the concept of Dan lekol adam b'chaf zchut, which translates as judge every person on the side of merit. Or to put it more simply, give other people the benefit of the doubt. I don't have time to go into the whole story in the Talmud, but I want to share what my cousin took away from the story. He writes, did you ever find yourself not giving someone the benefit of the doubt? Did you ever follow through and let it consume you, even if you had good reason to think such things? Did you ever think about the feelings and emotions that take you on that ride and how they transform your vision of that person and the world around that person and the world around you, and how all of that affects so many others? Then he adds, right now, we are in many ways an expressionless society. With face masks, we can't tell if someone is smiling or frowning. If that is the case, if we are living in a world where so much is hidden, we need to work really hard on giving each other the benefit of the doubt. This has been a difficult and stressful time. For all the ways that I have taken it out on any of you, I ask that you forgive me. For all the times I have not given you the benefit of the doubt, I ask that you forgive me. Please turn to page 820. And please rise for a shamnu. A shamnu is our collective confession. This is where we beat our breasts, and it is our custom here after that to open our hand, to let go of all of the things that we are sorry for in the past year.
Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, ay, 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 Hevinu, Vahirshanu, Zadnu, Hamasnu, Tafalnu Shaker, ay, 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 Yatsnu Ra, Kizavnu, Latsnu, Maradnu, Niatsnu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Tsararnu, Kishinu Oref, ay, 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 Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu. Please turn now to page 827. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bimut halev.
For the wrong that we have done before you in the closing of the heart,
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bibli hidat.
and for the wrong that we have done before you without knowing what we do,
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'galui uvasater.
for the wrong that we have done before you, whether open or concealed,
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'dat uvmirma.
and for the wrong that we have done before you knowingly and by deceit,
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'harhor halev.
for the wrong that we have done before you through the prompting of the heart,
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'vidat znut.
and for the wrong that we have done before you through the influence of others,
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'zadon uvishgaga.
for the wrong that we have done before you, whether by intention or mistake,
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chozek yad.
and for the wrong that we have done before you by the hand of violence,
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tipshut peh.
for the wrong that we have done before you through our foolishness of speech,
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yetzer hara.
and for the wrong we have done before you through an evil inclination. And for them all, God of forgiveness, please forgive us, pardon us, help us atone.
V'al kulam Eloah selichot Salach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chapat shochad.
For the wrong that we have done before you in the palming of a bribe,
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'latzon.
and for the wrong that we have done before you by expressions of contempt,
החטא שחטאנו לפניך במאכל ובמשתה,
for the wrong that we have done before you through misuse of food and drink,
והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בנשך ובמרמה
and for the wrong we
ובמרבית,
have done before you by our avarice and greed,
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בסיקור עין,
for the wrong that we have done before you through offensive gaze,
והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בעיניים רמות.
and for the wrong that we have done before you through a condescending glance. And for them all, God of forgiveness, please forgive us, pardon us, help us atone.
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו וחלמנו, כפר לנו, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות.
For the wrong that we have done before you by our quickness to oppose,
והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בצדיעת רעך,
and for the wrong that we have done before you by deception of a friend,
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בקשיות עורף,
for the wrong that we have done before you by unwillingness to change,
ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בריצת רגליים להרע,
and for the wrong that we have done before you by our running to embrace an evil act,
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בשנאת חינם,
for the wrong that we have done before you by our groundless hatred,
ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתשומת יד,
and for the
בתשומת יד, sorry.
and for the wrong that we have done before you in the giving of false pledge. And for them all, God of forgiveness, please forgive us, pardon us, help us atone.
ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו, סלח לנו מחלנו, כפר לנו.
Andy and Steve call this version of Avinu Malkeinu the Janowski version, but growing up in Chicago, Max Janowski was the cantor of my family's congregation. And so for me, this was the only version of Avinu Malkeinu. And I still think it is the most beautiful. The words are on page 20 in your High Holiday booklet.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, Ve'alol aleinu, V'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale dever, V'cherev v'ra'av, me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale chotzar, U'mastin, me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, כותבנו בספר חיים טובים, אבינו מלכנו חדש עלינו, חדש עלינו שנה טובה. אבינו מלכנו, אבינו מלכנו, חדש עלינו שנה טובה. אבינו מלכנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו.
Please turn to page 1188, Kaddish Titkabal.
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabba v'yalim ma'dirachirute v'yamlech maflute v'chaychon v'yomechon v'chayeh v'chobei Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kari v'yemeru Amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam alamaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yitabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah baruchu le'ela le'ela mikobrachata v'shirata Tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran ve'alma Tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran ve'alma v'yemeru Amen. Titkabal salotahon uva'utahon dechobe Israel Adam abuhon Di b'shmaya, di b'shmaya, di b'shmaya, v'yemeru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim, v'chayim, aleinu, aleinu, v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yemeru, amen. Oseh shalom ben Roma, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol Yoshvei Tevel, v'yemeru, amen.
Another thing that Rabbi Art Green said in this podcast that I listened to was that when he was a child, he went to high holiday services with his grandfather, and the person who blew the shofar always cried. He was an old man, and he cried when he blew the shofar. And that made a really big impression on Art as a child, that this was something that could move people. And I always think that when people cry at Yom Kippur services, that is a very good thing. And when Steve sings Avinu Malkeinu, it brings tears to my eyes. And also when I read the chats, the things that people wrote about safety, that also brought tears to my eyes. And Michael will now share with you some of the things that people wrote in the chat.
Anything that allows one to feel safe in a place and then go out in the world and come back and feel safe again. Congregation Beth Tikva gives us that. I feel safe knowing someone is thinking of me. When we sing or listen to Hashkivenu on Shabbat, I feel safe and I wind up singing it all week. Safety means being loved by someone. The term Sukkot Shalom, a sukkah of peace, reminds me that a sukkah is a portable shelter, Similarly, one's sense of peace and safety must be portable too. Just like the Jews wandering in the desert brought their Sukkot, their physical shelters with them, we must construct our own internal mental shelters that we bring with us wherever we go. We build this shelter out of our senses of right and wrong, empathy, kindness, love of others, and love of ourselves. When we carry these feelings within, they shelter us from storms of trouble. We can make others feel safe by checking in to say hi so they know we are thinking of them and are there for them. To make each other feel safe, we can listen with love. We can help each other feel safe by listening without judgment and loving each other. Safety is a place where you can take risks and know someone will catch you if you fall. Acceptance, a warm smile, a virtual hug, a nod of approval. To me, safety is freedom from fear and a sense of connectedness. CBH has always been a safe space for me, feeling the warmth and caring of so many incredible people. It means kindness. Never give up. For our family, we felt safe to be outdoors this summer with each other and friends and family. Safety for me means home, and now more than ever, reach out to someone and say hello. Safety means being able to take risks, knowing I have a security net of friends. We can help each other feel safe by calling them on the phone and let them know that they are in our thoughts and not alone. To help each other feel safe, be kind and have love in your soul. Anything that allows one to feel safe in this place and come back and feel safe again. Safety means reassurance, and to help others feel safe, we need to talk and be receptive. Feeling loved and cared about, showing others that they are cared about by calling and relating to them in a loving way. I feel safe when I am with my family, knowing how much I love them and they love me. A hug, an email, FaceTime with friends reminds me I am safe. I feel safe when others are obeying the same rules as me to stay safe. The idea of knowing God is there makes me think about being in our sukkah. The walls are flimsy. You can see through the roof. You'll feel rain, wind, even cold, but somehow you're sheltered. Safety means being able to walk where I want, speak freely, and share in community. We need to vote to make sure we can continue to feel safe. How can we help one another? Don't let anyone fall. Safety means family. Being safe means hope. To make others feel safe, we can make it clear to them that we will listen to them without judgment or trying to offer unasked for advice. Knowing I am not alone and keeping connection with people we care about. Safety to me means a state of being where I am and where I and my loved ones are smiled at, hugged, welcomed, even if we're in bad moods, scared and sad. We can greet each other with warmth and acceptance. We can appreciate each other's pains and joys. We can know each other. Just hearing the voice of someone I care about letting me know they care about me makes me feel safe. And the surprise of a voice of a less familiar person opens that umbrella further. Safety means feeling the freedom and comfort to be myself, to be with another person. We can help each other feel safe by celebrating our differences. How can we help one another find out someone's favorites, foods, possibly the easiest, but favorite books, songs, silly jokes, and bring it to them, envelop them in acceptance. Safety is CBH, where all are welcome with open arms and no judgment. Come as you are. To me, safety is being loved, and I try to make others feel safe by letting them know they are loved and not alone. I'm going to call now on Marcia Baldinger to read a prayer for our country written by our member, Steve Kaflowitz.
Source of life and blessing, hear our prayer for our land and its government. Let your blessing pour out on this land and on all officials of this country, who strive at this difficult period to lead our nation. Beloved One, bless them so they may govern with wisdom and justice, grace and compassion, bringing blessing to humankind. Compassionate One, who sustains the living with loving kindness, supports the fallen and heals the sick, bless with strength those who are suffering. Bless with resilience those in isolation. Bless with hope those who are despondent. Bless the doctors, nurses, and all caregivers who tirelessly seek to heal and help those afflicted, even while putting themselves at risk. Open our hearts in prayer and our hands in generosity so that the physical distance this virus creates between us will be bridged through compassion and kindness. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. Please rise for the Israeli national anthem with a video that was taken in past years. Please be seated. It's kind of fun to see us in the sanctuary together last year. The word Aleinu means it is upon us. And a poet named Trisha Arlen has written a prayer, a kavanah for Aleinu. Trisha Arlen, turns out, is someone that I went to college with, and I actually reconnected with her on a Zoom webinar, one of the little silver linings of being in the pandemic, was discovering, reconnecting with her. Aleinu, it is upon us. It is upon us to repair the broken places. It is upon us to comfort the sick in body and heart. It is upon us to bring sweetness to those around us. It is upon us to face the truth. It is upon us to know when we have choices. It is upon us to see that justice is done. It is upon us to be kind. It is upon us to be mindful and compassionate. It is upon us to forgive and be forgiven. It is upon us to do teshuvah, returning to our true and decent selves. It is upon us to do tefillah, understanding that our prayers are holy conversations. It is upon us to do tzedakah, standing up for the survival of all our communities. Va'anachnu korim, we bend our knees. We bend our knees to acknowledge how small we are in the face of all this responsibility. We bend our knees to warm up for all the hard work. We bend our knees so that we may dance. Aleinu begins with the first paragraph on page 1202 and continues on pages 1204 and 1206 with a chorus of Ein Od. There is nothing else. Everything is part of God. Please be seated. It is my custom on the evening of Kol Nidre to ask all of the people who have lost a loved one in the past year to stand so that everyone in the community can see who are the people who are in mourning. And sometimes we forget after the week of Shiva, and the period of mourning is longer than that. So it's an opportunity to remember who's in mourning so that we can reach out with a touch or a hug or just ask how they're doing. We can't do that tonight, but I will be reading the names. So please make note of the people who are in mourning this year and reach out in some way. And those of you who are in mourning, if you wish to rise at home, please do. Joan Rowland, mother of Ed and Steve. Alan Lipnick, father of Adam. Barbara Louise Parmigiani, mother of Cara. Rita Gavsey, mother of Debbie Needleman. Margaret Veronica Dlug, grandmother of Olivia Cohen. Leslie Skillman Hull, wife of Rick, mother of Sophia. Daniel Braun, husband of Regina. Fred Myers, father of Marty. Larry Killian, father of Caitlin. Joan Stern, mother of Tricia. Ann Lipman, mother of Elizabeth Freeman. Jonathan Kaselik, son of Terry and Paul, brother of Dan. Elsa Myers, mother of Dan. Dolly Richman, mother of Susan Myers. John Bozick, husband of Debbie Feynman. Bob Max, Suzanne Moskowitz, mother of Don, and Alan Kaflowitz, brother of Steve. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah. V'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayachon uv'yomechon. Uv'chayed chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mavarach le'alam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei dekudashah brichu. Le'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing. Usually at the end of Kol Nidre, I ask people to leave the sanctuary in silence. The online version of that is that I'm going to ask you not to make comments in chat at the end of this service. And even at home, I hope that you will keep an awareness of sacred time. Yom Kippur is the holiest day of the Jewish year. After the service, I encourage you not to turn on the news, check your email, or do any of your usual activities. There's a tradition to read Psalm 27 each day from the beginning of Elul until the end of Sukkot. In BetNet this week, we included a link to a translation of the psalm and some teshuvah questions based on the psalm. And you might want to spend some time this evening thinking or writing or discussing one of these questions. Where have you experienced light and help in the past year? What prevents you from trusting in God, in other people, and how would your life be different if you trusted more? How can you help fight the darkness? These are just a few of the questions that I have found meaningful. You could also make up your own questions, or you could read poetry or listen to music. Consider how you can make this 24-hour period meaningful to you. Yom Kippur is a fast day. In Jewish tradition, this means that from sundown to sundown, we do not eat, drink, bathe, brush our teeth, use cosmetics, perfume or deodorant, or have sexual relations. Each year, I suggest that you try one of these customs. Sometimes it's hard to understand the power of Jewish traditions until you try them. This year, when we will not gather in person, it's a perfect opportunity to try something without worrying what others will think of you. Yom Kippur is a day when we are meant to be uncomfortable. There's also a tradition to wear white on Yom Kippur, and even though we will not be able to see each other tomorrow morning, I hope that you will wear at least one white item of clothing. We can all imagine and picture looking out at a sea of people dressed in white, a symbol of unity and holiness. Our service resumes tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.